So its title is Building a Successful Blockchain Ecosystem for India. Right. And its regulatory approach is to crypto asset. So this is the whole thing that has been submitted to government. Right. And hopefully government will take note of it.
So it is actually my pleasure and it's such an honor to be here and talking to sir right here. And Suren, thank you so much for your time. It really means a lot to me. And what I'm going to do in this interview is, couple of questions that most of the people who, if you have a startup, like if you have a company, if you have an exchange, or you are thinking of building a DApp, or maybe you're just an investor or trader, this is a very important interview. I think you should definitely watch it. So thank you so much for your time, sir.
Thank you, Shiv. So nice of you.
Thank you. So let's start with the Bitcoin itself. Of course, we're going to talk about the regulations. We're also going to talk about the recent development that happened, wherein Supreme Court told the government that, you have 4 weeks to come up with some kind of regulations, right? So we'll talk about that. But before that, so let's talk about the Bitcoin itself. So Bitcoin right now is actually, I would call it's become sort of a global asset because it's almost trading in all these jurisdictions. There have been statements like Bitcoin could be one of the native currency for the internet, right? And there have been some people who have gone ahead and said that, you know what, this is a digital gold. So what's your thoughts on Bitcoin as a global asset, and why Nishith Desai Associates, such an international firm, actually wanted companies to assist on this asset class? So yeah.
An excellent question, Shiv. Once again, thank you for bringing me and Suril on your blog and on the TV. As you all know that we have come a long way. Yeah. And it was since almost 2013 we began to work on this, and we thought that this was a new technology. It was not very easy for governments and the people to understand what it meant and what it could do. Fundamentally, we believe that this technology, and more so of DLT, has a tremendous potential in the financial services sector and other sectors as well. So I think in terms of its applications, most of your viewers would know that there are a wide array of applications. Yeah. And especially for public blockchain, Bitcoins become, or crypto becomes kind of a reward. Yeah. So it will be an essential ingredient of, this crypto ecosystem. Yeah. If Bitcoins would not have been described as Bitcoin, but Bitpoints, perhaps we would not have so many.
Yeah, I totally agree.
So while Shakespeare said that, what is there in a name, but they log in the name at times, and therefore, this whole confusion has arisen and it continues in many ways. Yeah. So I think world is coming to a stage where they're slowly beginning to recognize that this is an important part of the ecosystem, economics or otherwise. And as I mentioned that because there are no regulations, and bureaucrats and the banks get very confused with this Bitcoin. It is Bitcoin, even though it's called coin. It doesn't fall in the Coinage Act as far as India is concerned. Yeah. It is not falling in the definition of money. Yeah. It doesn't fall in the definition of currency. Yeah. It is not a foreign exchange. Yeah. Okay? Yeah. So, and you say, is it like a gold? Now, the slight difference between Bitcoin and, say, I'll use Bitcoin for cryptocurrency just for the facilitation of the conversation, is that if gold has intrinsic value, okay, where Bitcoin's done, and that's a small difference, I would put it this way. But it is like loyalty points. In case of airlines or hotels, you get that. So when everything started, it was a loyalty. It was a reward for being loyal to one airline or one hotel. And so it slowly started off as a one-on-one arrangement. But over a period of time, when people began to get more loyalty points and they had no use for the services of the issuer of so-called loyalty points, they said, okay, you can also use for other airlines. We have arrangement with other airline and you travel on that, we can get it, and we started. Then they started extending to hotels. Then they started extending to other things, So today, this loyalty point has become a huge market, okay, but nobody calls it a part of financial market.
Absolutely.
Okay. So this is the basic thing one needs to understand. So if Bitcoins are now considered as a point, a kind of a reward for solving the problems, algorithms, then a lot of confusion will go. So it was way back in 2013 when Suril came up with Papa, this Bitcoin. I was a little scared and I said, oh, this is something. But when he comes, my approach is that howsoever divergent view you may have, contradictory view you have to always try and understand the other person. Okay, and there must be empathy. Otherwise, we are talking one way, it's my way and highway, and conversation will never last long. So I said, let me understand where he is coming from and what is it about. So when I studied more, and looked interesting, and we prepared first research paper. It took a long time. We had to spend hundreds of hours to study, and at that time there was no guidance, nothing of the sort. Very early stage, and so we had that paper on Bitcoins, legal and tax, implications of that, especially in the context of India, and it compared the system elsewhere in the world as well. So some of you who have not seen the paper, maybe you can go to the website and see that. But it is at length dealt with that whole thing. And we thought it is still going to take 7, 8, 9 years by the time Bitcoin comes up. And it has potential, but potential is always indefinite thing. But suddenly there was a raid, or there was some kind of attack on some crypto exchanges, and then of course everything came to a standstill, and we had to step in and resolve those crises for that time. And but of course, while resolving the crisis, we also made a point that public should be very careful while investing, because it is our duty. Something may be legal, but it is your duty to also warn people if there are some side effects.
Absolutely.
Okay. Then there is nothing without side effect, but at least there is something. So that's how it was resolved, and that was the beginning of our journey and helping the industry, and I think from that time onwards is going forward.
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the reasons, something that I heard, I still can't forget, I'll never forget this. This is from one of your speech at, this was in Mumbai back in 2017, and I was lucky to attend that event. And a statement that you made that as a law firm, we always try to see like 10 years ahead, because we as a human, we are evolving. There are new technologies coming up every 6 months, every 1 year. While these technologies are bringing in a lot of possibilities for us to grow, and a lot of opportunities for entrepreneurs, at the same time, they also bring in bad players. They also, entice bad players to misuse those tools, to misuse those technologies, and we have to get ready for that. We have to get ready for that. So we have to think ahead of that. That's how this technology can be used for good, and what are the misuses, and then let's tackle those.
A very good point. I think, as you know, we are a law firm which is into advanced predictive legal practice. And our philosophy is that every new technology, every new business model every new social, political or economic development brings along with it a new strategic, legal, tax or ethical issues.
Yeah.
There are 4 dimensions to almost everything that we believe, right?
Yeah.
Apart from the normal economics and whatnot. But these are the 4 points: strategy, law, tax and ethical issue. So what we typically do, we look to the future. What are the new technologies that will come in next 3, 5, 10, 15, 20 years from now?
Yeah.
What are the new social developments, economic development, political development and so on and so forth that would be happening?
Yeah.
On the premise that the future may be uncertain.
Yeah.
But it's not but it may be uncertain, but it is not unthinkable.
Absolutely, yeah.
At least you can think, and
yeah.
may happen, may not, nobody knows, right?
Yeah.
So based on that philosophy, we try to look at these developments and visualize today as to what will be strategic, legal, tax or ethical issue. Yeah. And this is, Bitcoin is of course one part of that. We have set up law from about 25, 30 years ago. Yeah. So right from the beginning, our approach is to look to the future. Yeah. If we are prepared with the future, then we are able to deal with those situations. Yeah. So when this Bitcoin episode happened in 2013 or something like that, within 1 hour we could give legal opinion. That it is not illegal, number 1. Yeah. And although it is not a coin or it is not money, but it is something that is legally tenable. Yeah. So we gave that opinion, and within 1 week's time we could solve the problem. It's a long history, but I won't go into all the details. Yeah. So the reason was because we are all prepared. Correct. Even though we thought it will take after 8 years, it happened in 1 year. Yeah. Okay. And that's how we could at least survive this industry to some extent. Yeah. And but as you rightly say, that there are people and there are people and there are people. So when people are given freedom, when something is not illegal, that means you are free to do what you want. Correct. But the difficulty is that when you are granted freedom, but you use that freedom without responsibility, and it begins to harm or offend others, then it is going to rebound on you some point in time. Right. So most important thing is, freedom is only one side of the coin. Responsibility is the other side of the coin. And in the process, some people started making illegal use. Yeah. Some people started creating kind of a Ponzi scheme. Yeah. And it created a little problem. Yeah. And what we are seeing today is a result of that heavy concern. Otherwise, from 2013 to almost like 2015, 16 or even 17, it was going on. Yeah. People were beginning to, industry was trying to organize itself, do some, self-regulation. We had provided that framework as well, because again we say that if nobody regulates you, regulate yourself. Correct. So it is part of what you call discipline. If you are not disciplined, somebody will else come and tell you that okay, better behave because it is offending others, troubling others, or whatever it is, right? So it was all moving, but some people went overboard, and some members of public lost money and complaints and stuff like that, and suddenly some incidences happened. And because this was not illegal, and government had no control on crypto or currency, but still they had to intervene because public will go after them and say, oh, see, we are being fleeced, nobody is looking at it, and we are paying taxes and you are not caring for us. So they will go after them. So government say, okay, we cannot control that Bitcoin, it's fine, but we have control over banks. Yeah. So they said, okay, we'll control the bank and tell them not to deal with this crypto. Now, the legality of that very act, we have questioned, and this I cannot talk too much about. The whole thing is a matter is sub judice. Sure. But at a limited level, what I can say is that Supreme Court has given now 4 weeks to government to come up with something. Yeah. In the meanwhile, we have always maintained that as a community, when you're working together, try to have some self-regulation. And in the meanwhile, government has appointed a committee to look into this, which you know about. Yeah. And we have also given this what is called submissions, and some of you want to see on the website, or if somebody wants, maybe they can write to you or to us, and we can give you a copy. So its title is Building a Successful Blockchain Ecosystem for India, and its a regulatory approach is to crypto asset. So this is the whole thing that has been submitted to government, and hopefully government will take note of it.
Absolutely.
And so it's free. Usually lawyers don't give everything free, but all our publication, all our things are in public domain, and we are more like open source law firm, as Suril said.
Absolutely.
And so it would be very useful for people who are genuinely interested in the blockchain and the crypto asset activity. Should carefully look at it.
Absolutely. I did. I think so. It's there in the PDF format. I did download a few copies of it early days, and I did read it. And
that was in the Bitcoin.
Yeah, that was in Bitcoin.
That is starting.
That was Bitcoin and blockchain. But yes, if
the
somebody wants
one,
it, then they can.
It was December 2018.
Yeah. This is the latest one. This is the latest
but
one.
This is a submission to the government.
Okay.
What we have written to
Okay.
government.
These are the recommendations.
These are recommendations.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Exactly.
So somebody wants it.
They can go on website and
they can
them, or they can write to us or to you.
Yeah, I think this is a very important resource.
Yeah,
if you're building
so if
anything.
anybody has any suggestion. So hopefully, I think government is slowly beginning to realize that this is an important part of ecosystem so I do not personally think that it would be prohibited. In some ways, it would be regulated. And as I mentioned, that we have suggested that better to go for self-regulation with some kind of statutory backing, like advertising companies. Their code of conduct, is not SE, as they call it, right? Advertising standards code or whatever, right? But it has some kind of statutory backing. So people take it a little more seriously. But fundamentally, can you publish this kind of ad or cannot publish? There is some code of conduct. Industry, you have yourself decided how do we want to, and so that all the players in this system play by the rules which you have framed.
Right.
Okay, then maybe 1 or 2 points here and there. So I think this is what we are thinking, that it would be very helpful for people to come together and.
Absolutely. I do want to know from you as to what are the reasons that you would recommend government, because there are also people of an opinion who said that no, let's not regulate it, which is fair enough. I mean, everybody is, that's all about freedom, right? You have freedom of expressing your opinion as to let's not regulate it because these are the consequences, or maybe let's regulate it because otherwise these are the consequences. So we'll talk about that. Before that, Suril, so we have spoken Bitcoin, right? So there have been projects, and this is something that you would agree with strongly, because every other there's this new project, right? Of course, there are scams and whatnot, but at other times there are good projects who are pitching themselves like to be the next Bitcoin, or maybe they have done some kind of a fundraising through an ICO. And obviously we saw that what happened just now, most of the coins, most of the cryptocurrencies gone down by 80%, and some of them are dead actually, and most of them actually turned out to be a scam, right? So, but what we see generally is that, we are next Bitcoin, right? So what would you say to people who are probably investing in trading, and according to your personal opinion, what do you think, are these projects are going to be in existence for the long term, or are they going to be dead, most of these projects?
See, what I feel is that before anyone even thinks about going and investing into these products, that we at least read the Satoshi Nakamoto's white paper at least 2 or 3 times.
You said it,
because people are not reading that.
They're
reading all these white papers, they're reading all this thing about blockchains, they're reading about, but they're not reading the actual paper, which is basically 8 pages. And it's like today, if you have 2 stalls, in one stall you have, come and trade crypto, and on the other stall you have something called Satoshi Nakamoto's white paper guidance. you will find a huge queue in front of the trading booth and next to the place where they're actually talking about what are the because you have to remember that without reading the white paper and straight away going into the market, you are going, you're swimming in an ocean without knowing how to swim.